अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नारायण परावेदा देवा नारायणाङ्गजाः नारायण परालोका नारायण परामखाः नारायण परो योगो नारायण परन्तपः नारायण परज्ञानं नारायण परागतिः। तस्मात् केन मनसा भगवान् सात्वतां पदिः श्रोतव्य कीर्तितव्यश्च ध्येय पूज्यश्च नित्यदा। जयति जगति मायां यस्य कायाधवस्ते वचनरचनमेघं केवलं शाकलय्य ध्रुवपदमपि यातो यत्कृपातो ध्रुवोऽयं सकलकुशलपात्रं ब्रह्मपुत्रं नतास्मि। सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कारः. We are seeing the Narada Bhakti Sutras, and we saw the different views of para bhakti by different acharyas, like Gargacharya, Vedavyasa, Chandilya Rishi, and Narada also. So these are the ideas of different acharyas regarding the para bhakti or the lakshanas of para bhakti. And in the last sutra, Sage Narada said that not only one action, whatever we do, we have to offer it to Bhagavan. That is the lakshana of para bhakti. Sri Narada said that, and he said that there are examples for it, drishtantas for it, and he says in this sutra, that is Sutra 20, Astyevam evam, evam evam asti, exists there like this, thus, there is, asti, there is. So what does it mean? Thus, there is. There are drishtantas, or there are examples in this universe about these lakshanas of parabhakti. He said that whatever they do, they offer it to Bhagavan. That is the lakshana of parabhakti. And he says there are many bhaktas in the ancient time who are like this, he said. He is telling in this sutra. And some of the examples are Prahlada, Tulasidas, Hanumanji. We know about Prahlada. Whatever anyone says, he says Srihari, Srihari. And Srihari is there in this pillar, Srihari is there. And that's the reason for the avatara of Nrsimha avatara also. The great avatara happened because of Bhakta Prahlada, a very young child. So that is one example. And Hanumanji, we do not know. He considered himself as the Dasa of Bhagavan Sri Ram. And there also in the recent times, he lived in the 16th century, Tulasidasa Goswami Tulasidas. He was a great bhakta of Bhagavan Sri Ram. And actually, the story of Tulasidas is he was a completely worldly minded person. He was not a great bhakta. Of course, he was a bhakta, but not of Gauna Bhakti, that's all. His father was a great astrologer, and he predicted the horoscope of his son Tulasidasa, and he said that, my son, the planets at this time are not favorable to you, so you better go to a temple and sit for meditation for one mandala, that is 41 days. You sit for meditation and worship Bhagavan in that temple itself. And Tulasidasa obeyed his father's order, and he went to a temple, and there he sat for meditation. And there used to come a very beautiful girl near from that village to that same temple. So Tulasidas saw this girl, she was very beautiful, and he was infatuated by the beauty of that girl, and he married her. And they both lived happily, but Tulasidasa was really a dasa for his wife. And he doesn't have any other interest. He will always praise his wife. Actually, at one time, his wife was so irritated by his love. It was so disturbing. So she went to her home, to her father's house. And coming to know of this, Tulasidas was so much frustrated, and it was a heavily raining day that day, and her house was on the other side of the river, the opposite banks. On that side of the river, her house was there, located there, and he wanted to cross this river. On that day, it was heavily raining, and there were no boat or boatsmen, so he cannot cross over it. So he thought that, yeah, and it was dark also, almost dark in the night, and he saw a log of wood floating on that coming by the river, and he got hold of that log of wood, and somehow he crossed the river and went to the other bank of the river, other side of the river. And climbing on that banks of the river, he saw what did he held, how big was that wood. He just turned back and saw, and he was so surprised to find that it was not a log of wood but a dead body of a villager. So somehow he didn't care for all that. Anyway, I came to that other bank of the river, and he went to and knocked at the door of his wife's house. And it was pitch dark at that time, and it was heavily raining. He was just dripping. All his clothes were just dripping water. And he entered that house, and his wife was again irritated. And she said that, so much of love you have for me. This body is only flesh and blood and all that filth. If you have at least half bhakti towards Bhagavan Sri Rama, you would have crossed this ocean of samsara. How ignorant you are, she asked. And these words pricked the heart of Tulasidas Goswami. And he just went away from that house. And he was, from that moment itself, he was worshipping Bhagavan Sri Ram. He always chanted Sri Rama's name. And he went to a temple, and he sat for meditation, worshipped on Bhagavan Sri Ram. And just like how what Gargacharya said, his way of expression of bhakti, his selection of bhakti is katha, writing, power of words. He wrote many books on Bhagavan Sri Rama and Bhakti on Bhagavan Sri Rama, and almost 12 books. And the famous among them were Hanuman Chalisa and Sri Ramacharita Manasa. And Ramacharita Manasa was the retelling of Ramayana. And that is his bhakti, his way of expression of that bhakti. That is this Lakshana of Para Bhakti. By expressing his bhakti by words, the power of words. And the circumstance in which he wrote Hanuman Chalisa also, I think many people know about it. He was arrested by a king, and because he didn't praise that king, and inside that prison cell, he wrote Hanuman Chalisa, and he himself chanted it for 41 days. On the 41st day, the whole building, that is the whole prison, everywhere, the premises of that prison, Karagraha, everyone was completely filled with lot of monkeys. The minister understood the reason for it, and he said the king, and he was released. So much bhakti he had for Bhagavan, and he attained moksha also. So that is his way of expression. And no need to tell about the bhakti of Hanuman or the bhakti of Prahalada. We all know about it. So these are all some of the examples for Para Bhakti, the Lakshanas of Para Bhakti. These bhaktas, they offered everything to Bhagavan. And another one example is Tyagaraja Swami. All the kritis he wrote, he was completely thinking of Bhagavan and wrote all the kritis which we sing even now. So many years have passed. So it is that bhakti which we are practicing now also. So that is the power of bhakti. They all are great bhaktas. Shama Sastri or whoever it is, or that great Trimurtis of that Carnatic music. So they were all great bhaktas. Only their bhakti they expressed through words, just like what Gargacharya said. And these are the Lakshanas of Para Bhakti. There are examples for this, says Sage Narada. And in the next sutra, Sage Narada pinpoints a particular example, that is Yatha Vraja Gopikanam. Just like, for instance, Or for example, or just like Vraja Gopikana, the Gopikas of Vrajabhumi, they are the perfect example for this. They are the perfect example for para bhakti. Why does Sage Narada select the Gopikas instead of selecting all those people? Their bhakti is supreme. It cannot be compared, incomparable. Actually, these Gopikas, they were great rishis in their past life. They were great rishis at the time of Sri Rama Avatara. And some rishis, they worshipped Bhagavan, but before uh, they attained liberation, their life ended. So all these Gopikas were great, great, great bhaktas and rishis. Many of these Gopikas in their previous life were rishis practicing meditation in Dandakaranya. And when Bhagavan Sri Ram entered there, they saw Bhagavan Sri Ram and they were so attracted by his form, by his nature, by his lecture. They were so attracted by seeing Bhagavan Sri Ram. They all just see Bhagavan Sri Ram. At that time, they do not know that he is the avatar of Mahavishnu. So they thought that he is also another tapasvi like us. So they were not able to leave their path and go after that tapasvi who is in that form, Bhagavan Sri Ram in that form. So they all kept quiet. So they were also disturbed in mind by seeing Bhagavan Sri Ram. So anyway, their life ended like that. So at that time, all these rishis, they thought that I want to be with this divine person. He is so divine. I want to live with him. I want to think about him. I want to be with him. I want his acquaintance. Like this, those rishis in that time, they thought. Since they were pure minded, they were also worshipping on Bhagavan Vishnu. They all attained Vishnu Loka, that is Vaikuntha, or some of them attained Goloka. When Bhagavan Krishna, he took birth on earth, all these rishis who were from the Vaikuntha, some from Vaikuntha and some from Goloka, they all were born again on this earth as the Gopikas. So these Gopikas were great rishis. They tried to attain liberation, but they did not merge in Brahman, but they were present in the Goloka or in the Vaikuntha. So these were all great rishis. So they were born as Gopikas. And in this birth as the Gopika, they were not that illiterate or they were not so rich. They were very simple minded, innocent people, very pure, innocent people. They do not know anything other than bhakti. They know only to milk the cow and take butter out of it, sell it. That's all. They do not know anything or they do not have any other talent also other than bhakti. That's enough. That's enough than any other talent. They know only to worship Bhagavan and they all were with Bhagavan Sri Krishna when he took avatara on the earth, and their bhakti is incomparable, so pure. Whatever they do, they think of Bhagavan Krishna. When they were churning the butter, taking butter of that curd, they were thinking of Bhagavan Krishna as if he is coming near them, taking off that butter and running away. And they just run the street like that, thinking that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is running before them. Sometimes they imagine that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is near them and they will talk as if they are talking to Bhagavan Krishna. So others found them as so insane. And what happened to these women? They thought they were not conscious of the body or mind. So they were not conscious of what the society said about them or the family thought about it. They were not conscious of the body itself. They know only Bhagavan. And they were all very poor people only, very small, ordinary people, below middle class, we can say. So the morning they have to churn the butter and they have to sell this butter by that money only. In the evening they have to cook food. So when they go to sell the butter or milk, they always think of Bhagavan. And sometimes some of the Gopikas, they thought that Bhagavan is sitting on the top of the head and they said, do you want Krishna? Do you want Krishna? Like that they used to say. So not conscious of anything. So this created a great problem in their house because they have to bring money to buy some grains or rice, and then only they can cook food in the evening. If they do not sell the butter properly, they will not get money, isn't it? But still, they were not conscious of all that. They were conscious of only of Bhagavan. So pure were their bhakti. That's why the bhakti of Vraja Gopikas are so famous. They too faced many difficulties because of this bhakti, but they did not leave Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And when they were very near Krishna, they were so happy. When they were separated from Krishna, they were so worried about it. And there are two types of Sringara, as said in Bhagavata. That is Sambhoga Sringara and Vipralamba Sringara. Sambhoga Sringara is they experience that kind of bliss when Bhagavan is near them. So when Bhagavan disappeared from them, that is when he is not near them, they experience that Vipralamba Sringara. That is worried. Their mind is so much attached to Bhagavan. They cannot separate from Bhagavan itself. And when they do not find Bhagavan Sri Krishna near them, then they understood that this is not the Nanda Gopan's son alone. He is more than that. And by that bhakti, they sang this very famous hymn of the Gopikas, that is the Gopi Gita, which comes in chapter 31 of canto 10 of Srimad Bhagavata Purana. It goes like this. Nakalu Gopika Nandano Bhavan अखिल देहिनाम अंतरात्मदृक् विकन सार्थिदो विश्वगुप्तये सख उदेयिनाम सात्वताम कुले. This son of Nanda, he is not a Gopa. He is not an ordinary Gopa. He is born in this Kula as a rising sun. He is not the son of Nanda, not a Gopa. He is Akhila Dehinam Antaratmadrika. He is the Antaratma of all the Dehas. That is, he is the Antaratma of all the Jivas. This one Gopika tells about Bhagavan Krishna, the nature of Bhagavan Krishna to her friends. So they understood that Bhagavan Krishna is not that ordinary Gopa, but they were not sure of who he was because they have not attained that merging with Brahman also. So they suffered a lot when Bhagavan separated from them, when he disappeared from them. And he wanted, as Bhagavan Krishna, he wanted to create this feeling in them. Only then they will realize their bhakti will increase. So Bhagavan, he purposely did this to those gopikas. Only then their bhakti will increase and they will realize their self. So famous is the bhakti of the gopikas, that is the pure para bhakti, which is equal to jnani, equal to the jnanis. And Sri Narada says that the jnana or the knowledge of the gopikas about Bhagavan is greater than even the great rishis. By bhakti itself, they had jnana. They went to the pinnacle of bhakti, and that pinnacle of bhakti is jnana. They did not identify completely with their body and mind, and so they were, whatever difficulty came in their life, they faced it without realizing it itself. They did not realize it that these were difficulties. They only know that Bhagavan is not near them, and they always thought of Bhagavan. This is the greatest meditation. Always thinking of Bhagavan just like he is near us, or we are running after Bhagavan, or he is stealing the butter and someone is holding him. So all these are the great lakshanas of para bhakti, says Narada Rishi. We will see about what he says in the next sutra in my next upload. Om Namo Narayanaya.